and in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Friends, we are gathered here today in the sight of God's creation here in Cherry Mound to lay to rest our brother, Dr. Thomas Carl Slattery. We read in the Psalms, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Folks that are going to speak? Yeah. I will begin and wanted to say a few words about Tom. He is known by many names: Dr. Thomas C., Professor Tom, President Emeritus, Thomas Carl, Pops, Daddy-O, used to call him Daddy-O Daily, Chicago DJ, Big Papa, Grandpa, and what our family generally refers to him as TC. He was very complex. It's difficult to pin him down to a single label. Many layers. He was a poet, part entrepreneur, part author, part humorist, part musician, part deal maker, part golfer, part vlogger, part comedian, part teacher, part band leader, part executive, part real estate tycoon, part angel investor, part historian, part linguist, part mentor, part entertainer, part academic, part storyteller. You heard many last night. Part negotiator, part ascot model, part conductor, part fearless leader, part fierce competitor, should be underlined, part father, part husband, part grandfather, part brother, part son, part son of SOB, part curmudgeon, part jazz music lover, part obsessive compulsive, part control obsessed. Actually, he liked being in control. He would never admit it. Little known fact, the C in Thomas C. Slattery, C doesn't stand for car. It stands for control. We all have lived in his shadow in varying degrees over the years. And there will be challenging times ahead now that his shadow is gone. But we'll move on, as we must, as he would have wanted. And he will be missed, and we'll continue to do our best to live up to his legacy in our own individual ways. So, he was a storyteller. I have a few stories. There are many. We could be here all afternoon. He touched a lot of people. Some of the best stories were recited by him himself. We have them on recording. If we can talk later, there's some great documentation of his storytelling. He's a great joke teller. This is not the time and place. Many of them are in the blue category. He could wrap up a listener in the palm of his hand. Growing up, my brother and I would hear these stories repeated ad nauseum. We were enthralled as children. We rolled our eyes as teenagers. We'll miss them now that he's gone. But they're permanently imprinted on our memory. So, let me get to the stories. He earned a music scholarship from Eastman. It was actually a vocal and instrumental performance scholarship. And he was pulled out of the provincial vaudeville setting. When he was in Eastman, it's north in Rochester, New York. He would look out his second-story window, and he'd regularly notice these two empty lots across the street that would fill up each night before performance. discovered one lot was owned by a church, so he gave him a 10% cut of his earnings. The other lot was unused because it was a construction company, so that was pure profit. For the next 3 years at Eastman, Tom made hundreds of dollars in profit a lot to help pay for school by charging for parking during each performance at the theater. He eventually sold this quote-unquote business to an incoming freshman at graduation, and I'm not certain, but I think there was this well-respected and quite intimidating teacher, psychologist at Eastman. His name was Charles Warren Fox. He must have observed Tom walking on his side. And one day, Professor Fox stepped onto an elevator that Tom and some other students were riding to get to class. And Charles Warren Fox turned around in the elevator as it was proceeding to the floor. He shook his finger at Tom and he said, "You shouldn't be a student at this school. You should be running this place." And it was quite an endorsement. There are three little vignettes here. We fast forward a little bit to his musical career and his transition into real estate. He used to hire local musicians traveling through the area through national acts as they passed through eastern Iowa. So the Ringling Brothers Circus happened to be in town. At this time, he noticed one of the clowns on the street corner in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, entertaining locals trying to drum up business for the weekend. Tom's personal attorney would regularly comment to Tom how his daughters always wanted to go to the circus, but he was just too busy and never got the chance to take them. So Tom had an epiphany. He went up to the clown and asked him to do a favor for him, deliver a message. This clown traipsed across Cedar Rapids to this law office, went up to the secretary's desk, full regalia, shoes, balloons, makeup, everything. He walked right up to his lawyer and he said, "Why don't you ever take your daughters to the circus?" This is who he was. He was reverent, brilliant, just another piece of it. And then at the end, near the end of his illustrious span of life, he discovered late in life that he had a medical condition that required him to give blood and have it drawn frequently. He didn't have large veins, so these nurses would constantly have to take his skin, and he hated that. It was his one weakness. He happened to have another epiphany. He had a lot of epiphanies. He purchased some little gold stars with stickers. Kindergarten, first grade homework assignments for you. He started giving out these gold stars to nurses who found his vein on the first try. They would proudly display it on their badge. It really brightened up a dreary atmosphere. If a nurse missed a vein, he would loudly say, "Next!" And another nurse would come in trying to strike gold. And she would give it a go. If a nurse was lucky or skilled enough to get more than 2 stars on her badge, he would say, "You have earned the right to cut the front of the lunch line at the hospital." And then after his cancer doc gave him the official difficult message that he had only a few months to live, he sat quietly for a second, digesting. And then he said, I hope you don't think you get a fucking gold star." So I'm going to stop on that note. That was Pop's DC Daddy. There's going to be many more stories later into the evening, tonight and through Sunday. More colorful stories than that. And we're just down on the river. Maybe we could meet. Does anyone else like to say a word or two about TM or TC or TM? Go ahead. If not, I just want to end with a reading from oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that complex control, but kind. He was so kind and loved you four grandchildren so much. Taught you all music and was so proud of all of you. And we'll miss him. So I just want to say, just want to thank people.
No doubt. I wanted to read from one of his favorite poets, T.S. Eliot. He used to quote from this. Frequently. I spent some time casting it, in the hopes that he's listening and read it. So bear with me. The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient ether eyes on a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious events, to lead you to an overwhelming question. You do not ask what is it, let's go. The yellow fog that rubs its back on the window pane, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window pane, licks its tongues into the early corners of the evening, lingered upon tours that stand in drain, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window pane. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces of the youth. There will be time to murder and create, time for all the works and days of hands to lift and drop the questions. Time for you, time for me, and time for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of toast and tea. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare? Do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest. They will say what I For I have known them all already, known them all. I have known the evenings, mornings, and afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all. The eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase, and when I'm formulated, scrolling on a pin, and when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin? To spit out all the buttering of my days and ways, but how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all. Arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight down with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrapped about a shawl? And should I then presume, and how should I begin? Shall I say I have gone at dusk in narrow streets, and watched smoke that rises from the pipes of women in shirt sleeves, leaning out of windows? I should have had a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its break? But though I have wept, fasted, and wept and prayed, though I have seen my head grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my great flicker, and I have seen the eternal foot that holds me so while after all, the cups to marmalade the tea, say I am Lazarus, come from the dead. Come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all. If one, settling a pillow by her head, should say that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. And would it have been worthwhile after all? Would it have been worthwhile? After the sunsets, the dooryards, the sprinkled streets, after the novels, the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this, and so much more. Is it possible to say just what I mean? But as if a magic lantern through the nerves and patterns of the screen. If one setting a pillow or a throwing of a shawl and turning toward the window should say, that is not it, that is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. I am an attendant lord, one that would do buys the prince, no doubt, an easy tool. Deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous. Full of high sentence, but a bit of at times, indeed, it's almost ridiculous. I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers robe. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and wash a penny. I have heard the mermaids singing. I do not think they will sing for me. I have seen them riding sea with me, combing the white hair of the waves, blowing black. When the wind blows water white and black, we have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea girls' reeds, with seaweed red and brown, till the human voice is white and sea. So we should move to the next year. So Roy McGeough is buried up here. Roy McGeough. He's going to be with us. And he's going to sing a brief moment.